Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something interesting. We're going to be ranking the albums of one of my personal favorite bands of all time, Lamb of God. And we're going to start with, because fun fact for you, before they were Lamb of God, they were Burn the Priest. So we're going to start with Burn the Priest debut. And this album is going to Killer. This was released in 1999, by the way. Yeah, excellent opener with Bloodletting. Dimera is a fantastic follow-up as well. Resurrection 9 is solid. Goatfish is fantastic. Salvation is solid. Same with Lies of Autumn. Chronic Auditory Hallucination is fantastic. Suffering Bastard is a solid follow-up. Buckeye is fantastic. Same with Lame. Preaching to the Converted. Departure of Him, Dune, Ruiner. I would honestly give this album like a strong 8. This is like a B plus level album in my opinion. Excellent album. But next up we have Lamb of God's debut under their new name, or the name they keep going by anyway, New American Gospel. Hold on. There we are. And this album is going to fantastic. It's just shy of perfection in my opinion. Like this album is so good. Especially from the opener of Black Label, A Warning, In the Absence of Sacred, Letter to the Unborn, The Black Dahlia, Terror and Hubris in the House of Frank Muller, I believe is the name. Let me see. Let me just double check that to make sure. Frank Pollard. Sorry, not Muller. Frank Pollard. Yeah, Hubris in the House of Frank Pollard, The Subtle Arts of Murder and Persuasion, Pariah? I'm gonna pronounce it Pariah. Confessional, ODHGABFE is fantastic. And I love the bonus track Nippon as well. Excellent, very focused album. And a pretty fat list, 10 tracks and like a good, probably like 40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. Pretty fat list too. Fantastic album. The only reason why it's not at perfection is because I feel the next album outdoes this album in every way possible. And that album is As the Palaces Burn. This album is going to perfection. This is actually my favorite Lamb of God album. Not my first Lamb of God album, but my personal favorite Lamb of God album. I love this thing from the opener of Ruin all the way to the closer Vigil. Every track on here rips, from Ruin, the title track, Purified, 11th Hour, For Your Malice, Boot Scraper, A Devil's in God Country, Blood Junkie, In Defense of Our Good Name, Vigil. Every track on here rips. In my opinion, even if you're vaguely interested in Lamb of God, this is one of those. This is the first album you should hear by them. If you're vaguely interested in them, this is the first album you should hear from them. This is a perfect album. Now I'll give you that. The production's a little rough, but I just love it because it's so heavy. And to quote Metal Trenches, it just feels like it's choking you, and I love that feeling. It is just so stupidly heavy. This is like a 10 out of 10 album in my opinion. But next up is Ashes of the Wake. This is also going to perfection, just ever so slightly lower than As the Palaces Burn. Very close though, like very close. It excellent opener with Laid to Rest. That is a 10 out of 10 opener. Same with Hourglass. Now you got something to die for. Omerta, Blood of the Scribe, One Gun, Break You, What I've Become, Ashes of the Wake, the title track. I also love Remorses for the Dead and the closing track. Oh yeah, sorry, that is the closing track. Remorses for the Dead. Excellent album, very focused as well. And it's very, very close to As the Palaces Burn, honestly. I like As the Palaces Burn slightly more than Ashes of the Wake, but they're both very close. They're both like 10 out of 10 records. In my opinion, these are the two records you must hear. Is As the Palaces Burn and Ashes of the Wake. But next up, we have Sacrament. And now this album, I have a lot of nostalgia for, because Walk With Me in Hell, the opener, was the first metal track I've ever heard, alongside Five Finger Death Punch's Dying Breed off of War Is the Answer. And I heard that off the video game Splatterhouse. Great video game, underrated remake. I actually love the remake. I wish that got ported to Xbox One and PS4, but it sadly didn't. It's only available on Xbox 360 unless you have a port for PC. But this album is going to the bottom of perfection. And yes, a lot of my nostalgia is really bringing this thing up. But I don't care because the opening track, Walk With Me in Hell, is a 12 out of 10 in my opinion. This is my personal favorite track from Lamb of God. I also love Again We Rise. Redneck is my least favorite track on here, but that is still a fantastic track. I also love Pathetic, Foot to the Throat, Descending, Blacken the Cursed Sun, Forgotten, Requiem, Time to Kill, and Beating on Death's Door. Excellent album. Not as perfect as the last two, but if you want something more approachable and a little less heavy, this is one of the most accessible Lamb of God albums, at least in my opinion. But next up, we have Wrath. This album is going to amazing. Excuse me, I had a cough. Solid instrumental opener with the passing, gives off a little bit of melodic death metal energy, a la, In Flames, Dark Tranquility, Arch Enemy, At the Gates. Gives off a little bit of that energy. I really like In Your Words, though. That's a light 9. Same with Set to Fail. That is a 10 out of 10 track right there. I also love Fake Messiah, Grace, Broken. Those are strong 9s. Same with Everything to Nothing and Dead Seeds. I also love Choke and Reclamation. Excellent album. Not as good as the last 3, in my opinion, but still a very excellent album. But next up, we have Resolution. This album is going to the bottom of fantastic. It almost made a case for perfection because, like, Straight for the Sun, I love that doom metal intro. That doom metal intro that Straight for the Sun brings in and how it feels very inspired by Black Sabbath. I also love Dissolution or Dissolution. I think that's how you pronounce it. Ghost Walking, Guilty, The Undertow, The Number 6. Barbarossa is a great interlude, a fantastic interlude, but it's not as good as the rest of the album. I also love Invictus, Cheated, Insurrection, Terminally Unique, To the End, Visitation, but my personal favorite and the standout track on here is King Me, in my opinion. I love the symphonic angle they take with it. Just a truly perfect track, probably one of my favorite Lamb of God tracks, alongside like Walk With Me in Hell and Ruin and Laid to Rest. Excellent track. But next up, we have Strumendrang. Or Strumendrang? I believe that's how you pronounce it. It is a German word, or German phrase. Sorry, it is a German phrase. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. This album is going to the top of fantastic. I love this album. Amazing opener with Still Echoes, Erase This, 512 is amazing. I also love Embers and Footprints. Overlord is my least favorite track on here. And that's because Randy, this actually features this is almost entirely clean singing until you get to the second half where he just has this epic blow up of pure fury. And the clean singing, Randy is not a fantastic clean singer. He's not bad. He's still a pretty good clean singer overall, but it's not like perfect, but it's very close. Anthropoid is perfection, though. Same with Enrage the Fear Machine, Delusion Pandemic. I love that line of this is the moment of change. And this is the time to admit your own faults. Everything is on you. It is time to change. I love that line. I probably butchered it. It probably doesn't go like that, but I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. If copyright wasn't such a bitch, I would play it, but excellent track. I also love Torches, Wine and Piss, and Nightmare Seeker, The Little Red House. If it wasn't for Overlord, this would be in perfection. I mean that too. But next up, we have their self-titled. And this album is unfortunately my least favorite. It's going to great. But even then, still consider this album like a B+. It almost stood enough of a chance to go into killer, I'm not gonna lie. Great opener with Memento Mori. Checkmate is a decent 9, Checkmate is a decent 8, sorry. Same with Gears. Reality Bath is a decent 9. New Colossal Hate is a decent 8. Resurrection Man, I love that opening. That is a decent 9. Poison Dreams is a decent 8. Same with Roots. Bloodshot Eyes and On the Hook are decent 9s, though. This album kind of goes back and forth between decent 8 and decent 9. So I would honestly give this like almost a B+, honestly. It's very close. I just like the Burn the Priest self-titled a little bit more than this, so that's why it has to go to great. But next up we have Omens. And this album is going to the bottom of, well, you know what? No. It's going above Wrath. It's going to Amazing, slightly above Wrath. Great opener with, Nevermore. That is a strong 9. Vanishing is a 9. To the Grave is a 9. Ditch is a 10. Omens is like a decent 8. That's probably my least favorite track on here. Gomorrah is a decent 9. Same with 3 Designs and Grayscale and Denial Mechanism. September Song is a strong 9. I love that they played with orchestration a little bit more. It's no King Me, but it's not that far off, honestly. I wish they would do that more, honestly. That is a excellent track with September Song. But next up, we have their newest album that came out earlier this year with Into Oblivion. And this album is going to the top of Amazing. Great opener, like a 10 out of 10 opener, honestly, with the title track. I also love Parasocial Christ. Sepsis is a strong 9. The Killing Floor is a 10. However, though, El Vaco is a 9. St. Catherine's Real is a strong 9. Blunt Force Blues is a 10. Bully is a strong 9. 1,000 Years is a decent 9. And Devise Destroy is a strong 9. A really amazing album. A touch inconsistent. It's not as good as my top sits, which are, in my opinion, are the sits you must have to hear. But it almost made a case for going in fantastic. It's just a little lesser than my top sits, at least in my opinion. But that should do it. Tell me your Lamb of God rankings in the comments below. Tell me if I got it right. Tell me if I got it wrong. Tell me your favorite Lamb of God songs. Tell me your favorite Lamb of God songs. And if you like what you see here, feel free to drop a like. And if you want to see more, feel free to drop a subscribe. I usually post videos once a week. And I will see all of you next time. Everyone have a great day, a great weekend, and a great week. I will see all of you next week. Take care, everyone.